In Chapter 1, The Other Minister, the Prime Minister is dealing with a series of crises, including a recent political scandal and the collapse of a bridge. He is disturbed when his office is unexpectedly visited by Cornelius Fudge, the Minister for Magic, who urgently informs him that Voldemort has returned and is actively causing destruction. Fudge is looking worse than usual, and the Prime Minister is taken aback by the strange and increasingly frequent appearances of Fudge, who explains the ongoing troubles in the magical world, including a prison breakout, the involvement of Dementors, and the mysterious deaths of two key figures. Fudge is soon replaced by Rufus Scrimgeour, Fudge's successor, who arrives to discuss security measures and the troubling situation with a junior minister who has been acting erratically due to the Imperious Curse. The Prime Minister is left feeling helpless as the wizarding world's problems spill over into the Muggle world, and he is reminded that magic is as much a threat as a solution. In Chapter 2, Spinner's End, Narcissa Malfoy seeks help from Severus Snape, desperate to protect her son, Draco, from a deadly mission assigned by Voldemort. Narcissa and her sister Bellatrix arrive at Snape's grim and neglected home, where Narcissa reveals her fear for Draco's safety, as Voldemort intends for him to kill someone, likely as punishment for Lucius's failure. Despite Bellatrix's hostility towards Snape, Narcissa pleads for his help, asking him to protect Draco. Snape acknowledges the danger but refuses to interfere with Voldemort's orders. Narcissa then asks Snape to swear an unbreakable vow to protect Draco. Reluctantly, Snape agrees, and the vow is made with Bellatrix as the bonder. The vow binds Snape to protect Draco and, if necessary, carry out the task the Dark Lord set for Draco, ensuring Draco's safety or his own failure at the cost of his life. In Chapter 3, Will and Won't, Harry is waiting for Dumbledore to arrive and rescue him from the Dursleys. As he nervously watches for any signs of Dumbledore's arrival, he rereads a letter confirming that Dumbledore will come for him at 11 p.m. Despite his preparations, Harry feels uneasy, unsure if Dumbledore will actually come. When the street lamp outside suddenly goes out, Harry rushes to get ready, but is interrupted by Dumbledore's arrival at the door. Dumbledore politely handles the Dursleys, using magic to make them more comfortable, and then discusses Harry's inheritance of Grimmauld Place, left to him by Sirius. The chapter reveals the complications of the inheritance, including the potential for Bellatrix Lestrange to claim the house, and Harry's uncomfortable responsibility for Kreacher, Sirius's house elf. Dumbledore also explains the protection Harry has while at the Dursleys, and urges them to allow Harry to return before his 17th birthday to keep the magic intact. In Chapter 4, Horace Slughorn, Harry, and Dumbledore apparate to the village of Budleigh Babberton, where Dumbledore seeks to convince Horace Slughorn, a retired teacher, to return to Hogwarts. Slughorn is reluctant, enjoying a quiet life, but Dumbledore is persistent. They discuss various topics, including the recent ministry changes and the threats posed by the Death Eaters. Slughorn's reluctance stems from the danger of associating with Dumbledore, but eventually he agrees to return to Hogwarts. Dumbledore and Harry leave the house, and Dumbledore advises Harry to confide in his friends, Hermione and Ron, about the prophecy. He also informs Harry that he will receive private lessons with him, including subjects that may aid in his fight against Voldemort. Dumbledore also emphasizes the importance of keeping Harry's invisibility cloak and ensuring his safety at the Burrow, which has been fortified with Ministry security. In Chapter 5, An Excessive Phlegm, Harry arrives at the Burrow where Mrs. Weasley greets him and offers a warm meal. Tonks, looking unwell and upset, leaves after a brief conversation. Mrs. Weasley shares the news that Arthur has been promoted within the Ministry to head a new office dealing with counterfeit defensive spells. As Harry enjoys his meal, the topic shifts to Bill Weasley's engagement to Fleur Delacour, much to Mrs. Weasley's dismay. Tensions rise between the family members over Fleur's perceived arrogance. Meanwhile, Hermione, Ron, and Harry discuss their upcoming OWL results. Hermione is anxious, but Harry reassures her as they eagerly await the OWL deliveries. When the results arrive, Harry is relieved to find he passed all subjects, including an outstanding in defense against the dark arts. However, he realizes that his dream of becoming an Auror is unlikely due to his potions grade. In Chapter 6, Draco's Detour, Harry spends his days at the Burrow playing Quidditch and enjoying meals, but unsettling news of disappearances and deaths fills the air. On his 16th birthday, Remus Lupin shares troubling updates, including the deaths of Karkaroff and Fortescue and the disappearance of Ollivander. Later, Harry is surprised to learn he's been made Quidditch captain. Mrs. Weasley plans a trip to Diagon Alley, but tensions rise as they head to the Leaky Cauldron, where they meet Hagrid, who will provide security for their shopping. Diagon Alley is visibly altered, with many shops closed or altered due to the rise in danger. At Madame Malkin's, Draco Malfoy insults Hermione, prompting a confrontation with his mother Narcissa. Harry, Ron, and Hermione later follow Malfoy to Borgin and Burke's, where they overhear him discussing a mysterious item. Hermione's attempt to gather more information is foiled, but they leave with more questions. In Chapter 7, The Slug Club, Harry remains unsettled by Draco Malfoy's behavior in Knockturn Alley. He suspects Malfoy has replaced his father as a Death Eater, especially after noticing the dark mark on Malfoy's arm. Ron and Hermione, however, remain skeptical. The next day, as they prepare for the journey to Hogwarts, Harry encounters Fleur, who is preparing for her wedding to Bill, while Mrs. Weasley discusses security arrangements. At King's Cross, Harry notices the increased presence of Aurors. On the train, Harry and Neville receive invitations to lunch from the new professor, Horace Slughorn, and join him in a compartment with other students from influential families. Slughorn is eager to befriend those with connections. During lunch, Malfoy's behavior becomes even more suspicious, revealing he may have dangerous plans. As Harry hides under his invisibility cloak to eavesdrop, Malfoy catches him, paralyzes him, and assaults him, leaving Harry injured and hidden under the cloak. In Chapter 8, Snape victorious, Harry, paralyzed and trapped under his invisibility cloak, lies in the train compartment, helpless and bloodied after Malfoy's attack. He can't summon his wand or make a sound. When Tonks arrives, she releases him from his paralysis, heals his nose, and explains that she's stationed in Hogsmeade for additional protection. They leave the train, but the gates to Hogwarts are locked. Tonks summons a Patronus to notify the school. As they wait, Snape arrives, opening the gates and mocking Harry's attire. Harry and Snape walk to the castle in silence. Inside, Snape makes Harry walk in front of the whole school, adding to his embarrassment. At the feast, Dumbledore announces staff changes. Snape is now teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts, a position Harry assumed would be filled by Slughorn. Harry fumes, but Snape takes satisfaction in the announcement. The chapter ends with Harry and Ron dreading their Care of Magical Creatures class with Hagrid. In Chapter 9, The Half-Blood Prince, Harry shares his suspicions about Malfoy with Ron and Hermione. After breakfast, they deal with their class schedules, and Hermione is cleared to take all her desired Newt subjects, while Neville struggles with his transfiguration results. Harry is encouraged to take potions with Professor Slughorn, despite not having the required books or supplies. In potions class, Harry uses an old textbook filled with scribbled notes, which leads him to make an impressive draft of Living Death. Slughorn awards Harry a bottle of Felix Felicis for his success, which Malfoy and the Slytherins eye enviously. After class, Hermione expresses concern about Harry using the book's instructions, suspecting it may be linked to dark magic. Harry dismisses her worries, but later, when retrieving the book, he finds a cryptic note written on the back. This book is the property of the Half-Blood Prince. In Chapter 10, The House of Gaunt, Harry continues using the Half-Blood Prince's potion instructions, impressing Slughorn with his skill, though Hermione and Ron are frustrated by their own results. Harry attends his first private lesson with Dumbledore, who reveals that he will share crucial information about Voldemort's past. Dumbledore takes Harry into the Pensieve to witness a memory of Bob Ogden, a Ministry employee visiting the Gaunt family. Harry sees Marvolo Gaunt, Voldemort's grandfather, and learns about the family's unstable and violent nature. Ogden confronts Gaunt about his son Morphin's magical attack on a Muggle. The memory reveals that Morphin's attack was sparked by Merope, Gaunt's daughter, who secretly loved a Muggle, Tom Riddle Sr. Dumbledore explains that Merope used a love potion to ensnare Riddle, leading to their brief marriage and Voldemort's birth. Dumbledore also hints that this knowledge is vital to understanding the prophecy. In Chapter 11, Hermione's helping hand, Harry, Ron, and Hermione struggle with their increasing workload, especially the demands of nonverbal spells in multiple subjects. Harry continues to excel in potions, thanks to the Half-Blood Prince's instructions, which causes tension with Hermione. They receive a new copy of Advanced Potion Making, and Harry swaps the covers with his old one to keep the prince's annotated book. During breakfast, they read about Stan Shunpike's arrest, which confuses Harry, and they discuss the escalating fear in the wizarding world. After Quidditch trials, Harry selects his new team, and Ron unexpectedly excels as keeper. Later, they visit Hagrid, who reveals that his giant spider, Aragog, is dying, and his grief overwhelms him. Back at Hogwarts, Harry is invited to a party by Slughorn, but must attend a detention with Snape instead. Snape's detention involves sorting flobberworms, which Harry dreads. In Chapter 12, Silver and Opals, Harry becomes increasingly frustrated by Dumbledore's absence, feeling abandoned as their lessons seem to stall. During a trip to Hogsmeade, Harry, Ron, and Hermione encounter an unusual package Katie Bell is tasked with delivering, which turns out to be cursed. Katie opens it, causing her to rise into the air, screaming in agony. After she collapses, Harry realizes the necklace inside the package is the same one he saw Malfoy eyeing at Borgin and Burke's. He accuses Malfoy of being behind the attack, but Professor McGonagall dismisses the suspicion, revealing Malfoy was in detention during the Hogsmeade trip. Despite this, Harry remains convinced that Malfoy is involved, and the mystery of the necklace deepens. As they return to the common room, Harry reflects on the possible targets of the curse, including Dumbledore and Slughorn, while Ron and Hermione express doubt over his conclusions. In Chapter 13, The Secret Riddle, Harry continues to be concerned about Draco Malfoy's involvement in Katie Bell's curse. Dumbledore, who has been absent, returns to give Harry a lesson in his office. They discuss Katie's narrow escape from death after touching the cursed necklace, with Snape helping to prevent its deadly effects. Dumbledore also addresses Harry's encounter with Mundungus, confirming that he's aware of his theft of Sirius's belongings. Dumbledore takes Harry into the Pensieve to explore a memory of Tom Riddle's early life. Harry learns that Riddle, a young orphan, exhibited disturbing behaviors and magical abilities, such as controlling animals and using magic for harm. Riddle's lack of empathy and desire to be separate from others are emphasized. Dumbledore reflects on Riddle's self-sufficiency and tendency to collect trophies from his victims. The chapter concludes with Harry noticing Marvolo Gaunt's ring has disappeared from Dumbledore's office. In Chapter 14, Felix Felicis, Harry continues to navigate tension with his friends. He tells Ron and Hermione about his lesson with Dumbledore, but Hermione's mind is on Slughorn's upcoming Christmas party. Harry also confronts the pressure of replacing Katie Bell on the Gryffindor Quidditch team and ends up selecting Dean as the new chaser. Ron, struggling with nerves, causes trouble during practice, but is convinced by Harry to play for the upcoming match. The Quidditch game against Slytherin begins with Gryffindor leading, and Ron finally starts to perform well, saving several goals. During the match, Harry's suspicions about Malfoy are confirmed when he doesn't play, and Gryffindor wins. However, Harry's plan to boost Ron's confidence backfires when Hermione accuses him of spiking Ron's drink with Felix Felicis. Tension between Ron and Hermione escalates, especially after Ron is seen kissing Lavender, leaving Harry caught in the middle. In Chapter 15, The Unbreakable Vow, Christmas approaches at Hogwarts with festive decorations filling the school. Tension brews between Ron and Hermione as Ron continues his relationship with Lavender, and Hermione avoids him. Harry tries to keep the peace, but the strain is obvious. Hermione warns Harry about the love potions some girls are trying to slip him, and Harry speculates that Malfoy may have smuggled the cursed necklace into school by disguising it. At Slughorn's Christmas party, Harry unexpectedly invites Luna Lovegood as a friend, which raises eyebrows, especially with Ron's reaction. At the party, Harry encounters Malfoy looking unwell and overhears a conversation with Snape. Snape reveals that he made an unbreakable vow to Draco's mother to protect Draco, and they discuss Draco's mysterious plan. Malfoy's anger and secrecy suggest his involvement in something dark, but he refuses Snape's help. Harry, hidden under his invisibility cloak, overhears everything, his suspicions growing. In Chapter 16, A Very Frosty Christmas, Harry spends Christmas at the Burrow, where he discusses Snape's unbreakable vow with Ron. Harry plans to tell Dumbledore about Snape and Malfoy's secret conversation, suspecting Snape might not be helping Malfoy, but instead protecting him. The Weasleys are busy with Christmas preparations, and Harry overhears a tense conversation about Percy's unexpected visit with Minister Scrimgeour. Scrimgeour tries to convince Harry to align himself with the Ministry, using his status as the Chosen One to boost morale. Harry, however, rejects the idea, frustrated by the Ministry's treatment of people like Stan Shunpike and their attempt to use him as a symbol. Scrimgeour's manipulation and disregard for Harry's life spark a heated exchange. Harry stands firm, asserting his loyalty to Dumbledore and refusing to let the Ministry use him for their propaganda. The chapter ends with Harry walking away from the Minister's manipulative overtures. In Chapter 17, A Sluggish Memory, Harry, Ron, and Ginny return to Hogwarts after Christmas. Mrs. Weasley tearfully says goodbye, still upset over Percy's departure. At Hogwarts, Harry receives a message from Dumbledore about their next meeting, and they discuss Malfoy's suspicious behavior. Harry recounts overhearing Malfoy and Snape's conversation, but Hermione remains skeptical, suggesting Malfoy might not be working directly with Voldemort. Harry is eager to tell Dumbledore what he overheard. Meanwhile, students are excited about apparition lessons, and Harry learns that Slughorn has tampered with a crucial memory regarding Voldemort's past. Dumbledore explains that Slughorn had been asked about Horcruxes by a young Riddle, but altered his memory to conceal the truth. Dumbledore assigns Harry the task of persuading Slughorn to reveal the real memory, as it holds vital information. Harry is dismissed, unsure of how to proceed with this new challenge. In Chapter 18, Birthday Surprises, Harry shares with Ron and Hermione Dumbledore's task to extract a memory from Slughorn, but Hermione remains cautious. During potions class, Harry struggles with the lesson, while Hermione excels, and he resorts to using the Half-Blood Prince's notes to save his potion with a Bezoar. Slughorn praises Harry for his quick thinking, much to Hermione's frustration. Later, Harry tries to get information about Horcruxes from Slughorn, but is met with denial and fear. Meanwhile, Ron becomes obsessed with Romilda Vane after accidentally consuming a love potion. Harry, realizing Ron's condition, convinces Slughorn to help with an antidote, which works, but Ron's disappointment at no longer being in love with Romilda is palpable. Slughorn offers them drinks, and in a twist, Ron accidentally ingests poisoned mead, causing a medical emergency. Harry saves him using a Bezoar, but the event leaves Harry frustrated with Slughorn's lack of concern. In Chapter 19, Elf Tales, Ron recovers in the hospital wing after being poisoned, with Fred, George, Ginny, Hermione, and Harry keeping watch. Harry recounts how he saved Ron using a Bezoar, but suspicions about who poisoned him remain. The Weasleys, including Hagrid, visit, and they discuss possible suspects, including Slughorn, and a potential plot involving the Quidditch team. Hagrid reveals overhearing an argument between Dumbledore and Snape, raising questions about their relationship. Harry becomes fixated on Draco Malfoy's suspicious behavior and, using the Marauders map, continues to track him without success. Harry also has to contend with McLagan's interference in Quidditch and Lavender's intrusive concern for Ron. Finally, Harry enlists Kreacher and Dobby to follow Malfoy, ordering them to keep track of his movements and report back discreetly, setting the stage for a covert surveillance mission. In Chapter 20, Lord Voldemort's Request, Harry and Ron return to school, with Ron recovering from the poisoning and Hermione reconciling with him. Harry is preoccupied with Malfoy's mysterious activities, and during a conversation with Ginny, he learns of a falling out between her and Dean. Harry receives another invitation to meet with Dumbledore, and when he arrives, he finds Professor Trelawney dramatically exiting the office. Dumbledore reveals that Voldemort had wanted to return to Hogwarts as a teacher, specifically for the Defense Against the Dark Arts position, which Dumbledore had refused him at the age of 18. Dumbledore also shares details about Voldemort's early life after leaving Hogwarts, including his brief job at Borgin and Berks, and his desire for the powerful objects Hepzibah Smith owned. The chapter ends with Dumbledore presenting Harry with a critical memory about Voldemort's past, which may help reveal his true intentions. In Chapter 21, The Unknowable Room, Harry continues to try and extract the memory from Slughorn, but makes little progress. He and Hermione discuss their apparition lessons, with Ron struggling to master it. Harry becomes increasingly obsessed with Draco Malfoy's secret activities, and uses Kreacher and Dobby to track him. They reveal that Malfoy has been sneaking into the room of requirement, with different students acting as guards. Harry attempts to gain access to the room, but fails, realizing that he needs to understand what form the room will take when Malfoy uses it. Meanwhile, Harry has a brief encounter with Tonks, who is distraught over recent events and mentions rumors of people being hurt. Later, Harry discusses the strange behavior of Tonks with Ron and Hermione, suspecting she may be in love with Sirius. As he continues his investigation into Malfoy's secretive behavior, he remains determined to uncover his intentions. In Chapter 22, After the Burial, Harry struggles to obtain the memory from Slughorn and is frustrated by his lack of progress. He receives a letter from Hagrid asking him to attend Aragog's burial, but Hermione and Ron are reluctant due to the risks. After some debate, Harry uses Felix Felicis, the lucky potion, to boost his chances of success. Instead of going to see Slughorn, he follows an instinctive feeling that leads him to Hagrid's hut. There, he finds Slughorn, who is also at Hagrid's, and manipulates the situation to obtain the memory by appealing to Slughorn's emotions. After an emotional conversation about Lily Potter, Slughorn, moved by Harry's persistence and bravery, reluctantly hands over the memory. The chapter ends with Slughorn falling asleep, having yielded to Harry's request, and Harry feeling triumphant as he now holds the key to defeating Voldemort. In Chapter 23, Horcruxes, Harry returns to the castle after obtaining Slughorn's memory, but faces difficulties with the fat lady's password change and Peeves. He is informed by nearly headless Nick that Dumbledore has returned, and he rushes to share the news of obtaining the memory. Dumbledore reacts enthusiastically and immediately views the memory in the pensieve, revealing a young Tom Riddle asking Slughorn about Horcruxes. Slughorn explains that a Horcrux is an object in which part of the soul is hidden, achieved through murder. Riddle is keen to create more than one Horcrux, even asking about using 7, which Slughorn finds appalling. Dumbledore concludes that Voldemort created multiple Horcruxes, and the diary and ring are already destroyed. Dumbledore reveals that he has also destroyed a Horcrux and that the search continues for the remaining ones, including a potential Horcrux in Nagini, Voldemort's snake. In Chapter 24, Sectum Sempra, Harry, Ron, and Hermione discuss the events surrounding the memory from Slughorn, including the significance of Voldemort's Horcruxes. Ron and Lavender have split up, and Ginny also breaks up with Dean. During Charms class, Harry's attempt to perform an enchantment goes wrong, but his mood lifts when he learns that Katie Bell has returned to Hogwarts after being injured. Harry is determined to get to the bottom of the necklace incident and questions Katie, but she remembers nothing. Later, Harry decides to use Felix Felicis again to try entering the Room of Requirement and catches Malfoy with Moaning Myrtle in the bathroom. In a confrontation, Harry accidentally casts Sectum Sempra, injuring Malfoy severely. Snape arrives and saves Malfoy, but Harry is caught and faces Snape's wrath. After a tense detention, Harry rushes to Gryffindor Tower only to miss the Quidditch match. When he returns, the team celebrates their victory and Harry shares a kiss with Ginny. In Chapter 25, The Seer Overheard, Harry enjoys his relationship with Ginny, though their time together is limited due to her owl preparations. Meanwhile, Hermione is determined to uncover the identity of the Half-Blood Prince and shows Harry a newspaper article about a girl named Eileen Prince. Hermione suggests she could be the Half-Blood Prince, but Harry dismisses it. Harry continues to use the prince's book despite his misgivings. As June progresses, Harry is still battling with his feelings for Ginny, Ron's interference, and the pressure of his detentions with Snape. After receiving a letter from Dumbledore, Harry rushes to meet him and learns that Dumbledore has found a potential Horcrux hidden in a cave. Trelawney reveals that she was thrown out of the Room of Requirement, overhearing a voice. Harry connects this to Malfoy, convinced he's up to something dangerous. Dumbledore agrees to take Harry along, but insists that he obey his orders without question. The two prepare to leave for the cave, with Harry eager for action. In Chapter 26, The Cave, Harry and Dumbledore reach a secluded, eerie cave by the sea, where Dumbledore believes Voldemort's Horcrux is hidden. After a difficult and icy swim through a dark tunnel, they enter the cave, where Dumbledore identifies a magical obstacle, a potion-filled basin that must be drunk to retrieve the Horcrux. Dumbledore volunteers to drink the potion, despite its harmful effects, while Harry is tasked with ensuring he continues drinking it. As Dumbledore suffers excruciating pain from the potion, Harry is forced to persist even as Dumbledore cries out in torment. Once the potion is drained, they find the Horcrux, Voldemort's locket, inside the basin. On their way back, they are attacked by Inferi, but Dumbledore uses his magic to protect them with fire, guiding them back to the boat and away from the deadly creatures. Exhausted, Dumbledore and Harry make their way back to the entrance, where Harry ensures their escape. In Chapter 27, The Lightning-Struck Tower, Harry and Dumbledore return to Hogsmeade after retrieving the Horcrux. Dumbledore, weakened by the potion, is helped by Madame Rosmerta into the Three Broomsticks, while Harry prepares to get help. However, Harry soon notices the dark mark above Hogwarts, and, sensing danger, Dumbledore urges him to fetch Severus Snape. They mount brooms and fly back to the castle, only to find the mark over the astronomy tower. Dumbledore sends Harry to find Snape, but Harry is immobilized by a disarming charm from Draco Malfoy. As Malfoy hesitates, Death Eaters arrive, and it's revealed that Malfoy had been working to bring them into the school through a repaired vanishing cabinet. Dumbledore tries to talk Malfoy down, but the situation escalates, and Snape arrives, ultimately casting the fatal Avada Kedavra on Dumbledore, killing him as Harry watches in horror. In Chapter 28, Flight of the Prince. Harry, after Dumbledore's death, is determined to stop Snape and prevent the Death Eaters from escaping. He pursues Snape, Malfoy, and the Death Eaters through the castle, battling Greyback and rescuing Ginny from Amicus. Harry races towards the front gates, where he sees Snape and Malfoy escaping, but is thwarted by Snape's spells. Amid the chaos, Hagrid's cabin is set on fire, and Harry tries to save Fang before Hagrid emerges, shaken but unhurt. Harry, still in shock, heads toward the astronomy tower, where a crowd gathers around Dumbledore's lifeless body. Kneeling beside him, Harry mourns the loss of his mentor. As he notices a locket in Dumbledore's pocket, he discovers a hidden message revealing that the Horcrux was not inside, and Dumbledore's efforts were in vain. Harry's grief deepens as he processes the devastating truth. In Chapter 29, The Phoenix Lament. Harry, grieving Dumbledore's death, is reluctantly guided by Ginny back to the hospital wing, where he learns that Bill survived Greyback's attack but will suffer long-term consequences. He shares the heartbreaking news of Dumbledore's death, and the group struggles to comprehend Snape's betrayal. As they talk, Harry reveals Snape's past actions, including his betrayal of Harry's parents. The group learns that Snape used the vanishing cabinets to bring the Death Eaters into the castle. At the hospital wing, the mood is tense, and Harry refuses to leave until he's certain the students can mourn Dumbledore. He then returns to the Gryffindor common room, where Ron anxiously awaits, but Harry shares the grim news that the Horcrux was a fake. As the chapter closes, Harry reflects on the loss of both Dumbledore and Fawkes, realizing the Phoenix has left, signaling the end of an era at Hogwarts. In Chapter 30, The White Tomb. The aftermath of Dumbledore's death grips the Hogwarts community. The funeral preparations begin as many students leave the castle, while others, like Seamus, stay behind for the ceremony. Harry and his friends struggle with the weight of their loss, and Harry avoids contact with the Ministry. At the hospital wing, Bill survives his attack but is badly scarred, and Fleur stands by him. Hermione uncovers more about Snape's past, revealing that his mother, Eileen Prince, was a Muggle-born, and Snape's bitterness towards his heritage might explain his actions. As the funeral takes place, Harry reflects on Dumbledore's legacy, knowing he must continue his quest to destroy the Horcruxes. The chapter closes with Harry's resolve to track down Voldemort, but with the comfort of knowing Ron and Hermione will stand by him. They plan to attend Bill and Fleur's wedding before continuing their journey.